we will call our meeting to order. If you would, please stand for prayer and pledge. Today's prayer will be offered by Mr. Wayne Penny from Grace Assembly.
My Father in heaven, I'm so thankful that you love us, that you hear us when we pray in your will. I'm thankful for your word that you've given us to guide us where we go and what we do and what we say. In the Gospel of John, chapter 13, verse 35, your word says, "By this, all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love one for another." Also in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 12, verse 34, your word says, "For out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks." So, Father, I ask that everything that is done and everything that is said and every decision that is made in this meeting this morning will be from hearts that are demonstrating kindness and concern for our fellow man. Most of all, I pray that your will be done because you do all things well. In the precious and powerful name of Jesus, I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome you to the Board of County Commissioners meeting today. Thank you for being involved in the business of Washington County. We ask that you please be respectful of all audience members in attendance by silencing all electronic devices and keeping distractions to a minimum. First order of business is to adopt the agenda, and we have a few late adds. If it's the board's pleasure. 7.5 will be a waiver request for the Ag Center facility rental fees for Goodwill Industries. Seven point six, 911 grants and procurement letters. And 7.7, Highway 79 corridor development update. Do you have any other additions or deletions of the agenda?
None.
Good.
Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, further discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We'll, at this time, we'll open a public hearing for agenda item 3.1, Senate Bill 180, National Flood Insurance. Mr. Attorney.
Yes, this is this isn't particularly National Flood Insurance Program ordinance. This ordinance deals with modifications that the Florida legislature required for what occurs after a storm, what type of restrictions you can put in. I believe there's a provision in here that says the county administrator is supposed to develop a plan to address these. That needs to be probably like as far down the road as possible, like 364 days, because the rumor is this bill's gonna be modified significantly in the legislature this time, but currently we need to adopt it.
Okay. Any questions, concerns from the board?
No.
No. This time we'll open the floor, questions, concerns from the public. Seeing none, we'll close this portion of the public hearing, and you do need a motion and a second to approve this, correct, to adopt?
Yeah, if you'll put interline in section 5A, 364 days, I think that would solve that problem.
Okay, in that blank
Yes, sir.
space, we'll add
364 days.
364 days. Okay. Is there a motion to adopt?
Motion.
Have a motion
Second.
and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Agenda item number 4.1, adopt previous minutes from board meeting January 15th, 2026. Is there any discussions or questions? Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second, further discussion. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We'll move into our non-agenda audience, public participation. Our first citizen is Miss Miss Pamela Andrews.
Good morning, Honorable Board.
Good
morning.
morning.
I'm
morning.
gracious to be here, and I just want to say that thank you. I thank you how the commissioners set forth a awesome Like History program. We started in 2024, and we're up to 2026, and we were able to incorporate individuals from Chipley again. Our Grand Marshal was the Josephine Robinson Floyd, and the Great Honorable Tracy Andrews was also a part of our parade. The superintendent, there was so many people that I outdid myself this year. I did not expect that many people. But I want to read this to you real quick, and I'm going to get out your way. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once reminded us, hate cannot drive by hate, only love can do that. Today we stand as a witness that love expressed through service, unity, and shared purpose still has the power to transform communities. On February 14, 2026, a day of love, we commemorated 100 years of African Americans making history in the United States. Washington County experiencing more than a parade. We experienced a reunion of our neighbors. The music, the laughter, the smiles, along with the parade route. And the generation standing side by side reminded many of us of our youth, of growing up in a community where we are enriched by one another, supported one another, and celebrated together. I would like to pay homage to the Washington County Board of County Commissioners, our Park and Rec Department, the Sheriff, Kevin Cruz, who fights diligently to keep our county out of drugs and out of crime. Also to his crews that does not find it robbery to come and assist us that day. Also, the fire departments of Vernon and Ebro, even though they're volunteer, they were there. Our EMT teams, they were there. The supervisor of election, she was there. PanCare and the Florida Department of Health. And many other sponsors was there assisting to make this be a exciting venture. These sponsors who made the commemorative celebration possible, your partnership and presence demonstrated that unity is not just a word, it's an action this morning. Today I bestow special appreciation upon Honorable Pettis, the chair, Honorable Marquez, the vice chair, and our District 3 Commissioner, giving some love, Honorable Brock. Thank you for your strength and for not turning away from the challenge of rebuilding and re-imaging communities that have too often felt overlooked. There was times when people would say, folks in Chipley do what they want, and there's no money to help us. But what we witnessed at Campbell Park tells a story. We saw upgrades, we saw clean buildings, we saw holes in the roof we've been speaking of for the last few years, they were repaired. We saw shiny floors, pressure washed sidewalks, well-groomed grounds. What we saw was investment. What we saw was care. What we saw was commitment. The late Commissioner Charles Brock, who ran our district for years, once said, our responsibility is to leave the county better than we found it
Ms.
for the
Andrews,
next generation.
I hate to do this, but time's up. But I will say, thank you for heading this up, and I hope the community continues to support you. It was a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Attard.
Good
Good
morning.
morning. Good morning.
Now, I'm not usually here to pat you on the head, but thank God we give honor where honor is due, and too bad she couldn't finish. I'm going to continue to bring to your attention Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Based on the governing ordinance of the Sunny Hills MSBU, particularly Ordinance 2001-04 and its amendments, MSBU funds are explicitly intended to supplement and improve upon services normally provided by the county, not to replace them. Yet over the past several years, the overwhelming majority of the MSBU expenditures, approximately 85 to 90%, have been devoted to road paving and resurfacing with no proportional or corresponding ad valorem contribution from the county. Road construction and maintenance are core county responsibilities funded by general tax dollars. Sunny Hills residents already pay those taxes like every other taxpayer. When MSBU funds are used almost exclusively for paving, because that's what's going on down there, the county provides little or no matching contribution. The funds are no longer supplemental. They are substituting for county obligations, which the ordinance does not allow. This is not policy disagreement. That is a compliance issue. Additionally, paving has repeatedly aligned with areas of active development. The elephant's in the room. We know what's going on, where it's getting paved, where the developers are at. It's not based on maybe, safety when it comes to road paving, because there's plenty of roads in there that safety, and when it comes to ambulances and fire trucks getting in there, good luck. Matter of fact, Mr. Griffin, your very uncle, the place where he lives, there's a road there, Cavalier, that people are illegally driving on the side of the road to get home. But that road has been overlooked for years. Why? Well, no developers building over there. Whether intentionally or not, when roads near current building activity are prioritized without a written public safety matrix, it creates the appearance that the MSBU assessments are indirectly advancing development interest. Thank you. I appreciate the time.
Thank you for your comments, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Cunningham.
Good morning, everyone.
Good
Troy Cunningham, Washington County. Vernon. So I'm here to talk about your new fire ordinance that you're putting in. I understand that's being voted on today. Couple of,
It's just being voted to be advertised.
okay, can you explain to me exactly what you mean by that?
Yeah, we have to advertise it before we adopt it.
Okay, so then I have time to send all of y'all these questions before it gets voted on, instead of me coming up here wasting y'all's time?
We're voting to advertise it, but there'll still be public hearings before we adopt it.
Okay, so,
So you do have time to address the board
Okay.
with your concerns, absolutely.
all right, so I've got several questions in here that I hope y'all will look at and please address before we send this out for advertising, because several things in here could put this county in a major lawsuit. Fire official, is this a new position? So more cost to the county. Section 30-35, fire official will be the only one inspecting. Section 30-36, we are hiring a fire chief, not the fire official. Section 30-40 is the fire chief. Section A, we are hiring more employees. This money will come from where? Fire marshal, is this another position, salary, and paid out of what? The fire inspections office, is this again another employee? More salaries, more cost to the taxpayers? Section 30-41. E, any member of the fire rescue department can enforce this, but yet that goes against your first section. F, now only fire inspection division will enforce. G, we are only allowed to hire a male for this position, and it states that specifically in your paperwork. G, you can't use one's opinion as means of enforcement due to If someone else comes in and inspects and says, all looks good, this won't hold up and can cause major issues. 30-42, our fire chief can only be a male. 30-43, again, anyone can enforce this code. Immediately, this isn't given time, and you have to have set time like 24 hours. Can't use opinions in codes for inspections. Have to make sure landowner or renter actually receives this information. D, county in the business of taking over owner's property. Vacation rental will need to be rezoned to commercial instead of residential due to the fact you're sending them to the state to get a license. The other thing is you need to look at NFPA standards. They specifically state specific measurements that you have to go off of. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stephen Schmidt.
It's in regards to the website, so I can speak at that time.
Okay. All right, seeing no other signatures. All right, seeing no other signatures, we will continue on to consent agenda. Are there any additions or deletions to the consent agenda from the board? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion to approve consent agenda.
Motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. We'll move into our regular agenda items. 7.1, America 250 Grant, Revolution Road Project Bid Award, Ms. Lopez.
Good morning. So this is our America 250 grant that you guys approved us applying for. We did approve a bid award. We had 4 bids that we tabulated and ranked, and EnviroSigns came in with the highest ranking, and they were also the lowest bidder.
Okay.
So we're just asking for approval of the board to go into contract negotiation now.
Okay, are there any questions or concerns from the board for Ms. Lopez?
Good.
Okay, all right. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, guys.
Ms. Lopez. 7.2, update to Washington County Public Library Public Service Policy Manual, Ms. Roundtree.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It's just a very small thing. Back in November, when I brought MessageBee, the contract for us to be able to text our patrons about their holds and overdues and things like that, we came to realization that our privacy policy was not robust enough for the requirements to text. So we've made some adjustments to that so that we can be in compliance and that we can go ahead and implement that program. So you have the entire public services policy manual that we have all the time, and then you should have an additional document that has our current policy and then showing the proposed changes. We just want to make sure that we're very explicitly clear on how we collect information, how we use it, and who we give it up to. Which we are exempt from Public Records 119. There's a specific statute that deals with libraries' patron records, so.
Okay. Any questions or concerns for Ms. Roundtree? Okay. Entertain a motion to approve.
Motion. Move to approve.
Second.
Okay. Motion is second. Any further discussion?
I would just want to say, has the attorneys looked over this? Are everybody good with it?
Yes.
Is it?
I mean, it's not anything, it's 257.261. There's nothing, we just referenced the correct statute. There's not anything that would be funky.
Then I'm good.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move to agenda item 7.3, Panhandle Crime Stoppers Incorporated discussion. And we have a representative here today from Crime Stoppers. If you would, you can come forward, please. morning. If you would just state your name. and
I am
address,
Rusty
please.
Russell. I'm a volunteer with Panhandle Crime Stoppers.
Okay. Is there anything you would like to add for this request today?
We appreciate this opportunity just for a public, excuse me, a public service announcement as we're asking to be the representative or the agent for Washington County for the funds that the Florida legislature has in the Crime Stopper Trust Fund. Want to make sure everybody knows that we're all volunteers. I've volunteered for about 15 years now. And we're made up of a group of people just committed to public safety. I do want to thank the Sheriff Cruz, for welcoming us to Washington County. We look forward to working with you.
Very good.
Here for any questions you guys might have.
Any questions from the board? Okay. And this is requesting authorization for Panhandle Crime Stoppers of Bay County to act as an agent for Washington County.
We use those funds, by the way, to pay for the call center, to pay rewards, and most people, by the way, don't ask for the money, and to pay for advertising, so people in the community that need to remain anonymous and want to provide a tip to law enforcement can do so.
Very good. Okay. Do I entertain a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All
Thank you.
opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. 7.4, RFQ 2025-01, Engineering Design and CEI Continuous Services Contract. Do you ladies have those numbers and those scores again, please? I was gonna say, I can see the colors, the writing not so much. So, let's do this. Can you give us the top 5 scores, please?
We have Panhandle Engineering right here, 2350. And then we have Metric Engineering, 2250. And then at 1875, we're Mahler Engineering, and then number 4, Monumentum, 1825, and at number 5, Neil Schaefer, 1775.
For Momentum, what was that score again? Number 4?
1825.
Could you repeat number 5, Neil Schaefer's score?
1775.
Thank you.
Okay. Everybody have that information? Okay, so we scored last week. These are the top 5. Does the board request any further placings beyond top 5? Okay, all right. Based on these top 5, we have scored these. These are the top 5. Is there a motion on the table at this time?
I'll make a
regarding-
motion to hire the top 2 high scores, Panhandle and Metric.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to go with the top 2 scores being Panhandle and Metric Engineering. Is there any further discussion by the board?
Just a clarification, this contract is to go coincide with our current 5 contractors we already have. I don't know what the time period is, but not extending, not more, that coincide with those. That's
Yes.
why it's a
Exactly.
Okay,
clarification.
so, for clarification, Mr. Griffin, would you be okay to amend your motion, move to hire the top 2 engineering contracts with their contracts to coincide and end at the same time as existing contracts?
Yes.
Okay. You have that, Ms.
Yes,
Fisher?
sir.
And you're still good with
I'm
that
still
second?
good with the second,
Okay.
yes.
All right. Any further discussion from the board? Any questions? All right, any discussion from the audience? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. Motion carries. We'll move to 8.1 FEMA Coordinator. Hurricane Michael Recycle Center repairs.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So on that recycle center, I know we talked about it last Thursday. Looks like we got about 21,000 that we have earmarked for it. And like I said, you know, we can use, we need to finish all the small projects. If we had to take from some of the culvert projects where we went under, excuse me, under on, then maybe we could use that too, if it's gonna take more than 21,000. I don't know if y'all wanna go out for bid, or do we wanna try to do some of the stuff in-house? I mean, those ceiling tiles, the metal framework's still there. I don't know if we can just pop in new ceiling tiles, cause I know they got, prison labor they use there too. So, or do we wanna go out for bid and see if a contractor can do it all? That's up to y'all.
What is left for that project? What,
So it'd be on, I think y'all have that in y'all's packet, page,
136, or, well, that's where it starts.
yeah, where it says it appears this work has not been completed. It's the main building of the recycle center. It says page 9 of 48 up top.
so our board book page number would be 144 of 199.
And then it goes on to the next page. So it's that, wall insulation. On the second one, the roof, I wanna double check and make sure. I think that might have been done already, that second line item. But then I know the interior stuff is the main meat of this, where it hasn't been done, where some sheetrock work in the break room, the entrance room, the men's room. And then, like I said, if you've been in that building, you'll notice that every single ceiling tile's out. So that's gonna be a big chunk too. And then I know in the actual roof itself, that insulation needs to be fixed.
Just a question, Mason, if I may, the roof, though, this will fix it before you put the tiles in?
Yeah, we need to definitely do that where there's leaking.
So would it be in the best interest to fix the roof first and then see about funding?
I think that we need to put
In-house
together a
or-
scope of work, and then, you know, in order we need to do it. Obviously the roof first, and then navigate this, and then go from there. But my question is, y'all wanna get a contractor, or y'all wanna try to do some of it in-house? We definitely don't look like we're gonna have enough money to,
Do everything.
right, without dipping into some of the small project overrun.
Well, wouldn't we need the scope of work and lay out what we want before
Right.
we decide to go out for bid or do in-house work?
Okay.
Would it be okay with the board if we get the scope of work and bring that back and make a decision then?
Yeah, I think we need to get a scope, and then we can determine if we wanna put it out and get a price, and then weigh our options after
You know,
that.
maybe bid the roof, then X, then Y as an addition, and then say, well, we're gonna have the roof done and we'll do the rest.
That's exactly what I was thinking, is
Yeah.
that there may be parts that we need to hire out to a
Mhm.
professional, and then putting in ceiling tiles might be something that we could do in-house and save some money. So I 100% agree, let's get a scope of work and
Are we up
Okay.
against the timeline, Mason?
No, we're actually waiting on the time extension. I just went ahead and requested another year just to have until our next, well, it'll be until this October. But I think once we get it, scope of work and out, I mean, I think we can get somebody in there to complete this work pretty quick.
Okay,
As long as we get it done before October.
okay.
Yeah, I think that's the best option.
Okay.
Right, if you
Thank
would,
you.
just bring, do that scope work
all right.
and come back. So we will move to 8.2.
Mr. Chairman?
I'm sorry,
No, you're good.
I didn't look at the correct paper. We're gonna have to go back.
7.5.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't do the, late ads. But while you're here, let's go ahead and handle 8.2, and I'll go back and correct that, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So 8.2 Mud Hill change order request.
This is just a reduction to the contract by $1,000 for some concrete work that wasn't needed at the Mud Hill generator. So I just wanted to get y'all's
Okay.
Nope, not gonna prove that.
We want to give them extra $1,000 for no reason, right?
Yeah. All right, any questions for Mason on this? Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second, further discussions? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Jewett. All right, guys, sorry about that. I hid my paper so I couldn't see it, and it worked. So, waiver of 7.5, moving back to a regular agenda item, 7.5, waiver of Ag Center facility rental fees for Goodwill Industries, Big Bend for job fair. Mr. Fleener.
We,
And there is a copy of an email in the packet about that.
so in years past, we would waive the fee for the Ag Center more freely because we had prison labor that was cleaning it. Currently, we have to pay somebody to clean it, and there's an actual fee associated with it. And our standard answer is no, we can't waive the fee. Occasionally, we get one like this that really is for the benefit of everyone, for the city, for employment, Goodwill Industries, and a job fair is something that I just really thought y'all needed to look at that and make sure that you were good. It's not but $250, but it goes a long way with this group and for the people of Washington County to be reemployed.
So our standard fee is 500, but for nonprofits, it does reduce it to 250, and they're asking to reduce the whole cost
To zero for this.
to zero. Okay. Any questions for Mr. Fleener?
I'm good with it.
All right, entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Is that the motion to waive the
To
fee?
waive the fees, yes.
Okay. Motion,
Second is for that.
all right, so there's a motion and a second to waive the fee. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, aye. Motion carries. 7.6, 911 grants and procurement letters, Mr. Erickson.
Good morning, good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Sorry for the late add-on. We had a procurement letter that had been required by the state now that we have to go ahead and do. And after talking to our county administrator, we just feel like due to the cost of these projects coming up, we feel like it need to be run to the board. So what I'm requesting for is apply for 3 grants, and in those grants, there's gonna be 3 procurement letters. Under the first grant is actually falling under the state government contract, so even though this falls under the contract, I'm gonna go ahead and send a letter for that. It's for recording equipment in the new system that we purchased at the Sheriff's Department. It was a $60,000 recorder. The maintenance on it's gonna be $13,405 a year. The second grant's for a new emergency 911 call system in the Sheriff's Office. That price is gonna be, and that's an upgrade to the current system, that price is gonna be $624,398.06. And the third item is cybersecurity and radio maintenance in dispatch, and that price is $37,948.68. I'm just requesting to go ahead and apply for these funds to the Department of Management Services, along with the procurement letter stating the reason for it being that we don't want to go out for bid on this due to the nature of the equipment and the cost effectiveness of pulling everything out and redoing it, and cybersecurity and other issues that's going to conflict with that.
Okay, so we're having to do some upgrades, and based on those equipment and proprietary systems, the request is to waive procurement to go with these sole source companies. And these companies are the companies that already have the equipment in place there and the software, correct?
Yes, sir. We're currently using them as our maintenance provider also.
Okay.
So basically, it would be a lot more money if we didn't do it this way.
Well, the initial system, we upgrade the system to $624,000 system once every 5 years, and we did this 5 years ago, and it was an upgrade. Prior to that, when we first started, when the first system, and I'll just give you a little bit of rundown, when you go into a new system, you go in there and you have to have an engineer come in there and kind of design it for the equipment that we have, the call radio system. It goes all the way back to everything that we have in there in the dispatch center, that all the way to the calls being made and the calls coming in from text to 911 to the regular 911 calls. And when the engineer gets done with that, then you go out for RFQ, RFP. You come back, and it's a longer process, but in that process, You might get a company you might like or don't like, and then you have to go in there and just pull everything back out, and then you have to more or less do a whole re-gut to the system and put it back in, and it's a lot costly. Right now, we're using Motorola, that's top of the line. I don't think we haven't had any problems with that or any other surrounding counties using that system, so we're using the Cadillac of the systems right now.
And I think not too long ago, we ran into an issue with a company from California that we were not getting the service we needed and have to terminate that contract anyway.
It was Core Services. It was a Core Service provider that provided our services into the dispatch center. And like you said, Mr. Chairman, we ran into some issues where they couldn't even provide the service, and after paying us the money to pay it, after paying several $100,000, they actually pulled out and quit providing the service to us because they couldn't provide it any longer. And that's what you get into when you start dealing with other companies that you don't know what you're dealing with. And I'm not against it. I'm just saying what we got's working. If it ain't broke, why fix it?
Okay, so today, you're not requesting permission or approval for applying for the grants, you're just requesting the waiving of the procurement?
I'm actually requesting the approval of the grants and the procurement, because as you see in those attachments, I've actually written the grants and got the grants completed, and so they're already ready to be submitted to the state.
Okay, what I would like to do, would it be okay to waive the procurement policy first and then approve the application for the grants?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so can we approve all those at once, and I would just, we'll just make sure they're all a part of the motion?
Yes.
Okay, so the motion would need to include waiving of the procurement policy for Motorola System E911 system upgrade. E911 call recording equipment, and dispatch radio console maintenance. So is there a motion in that effect to approve waiving the procurement fee or procurement process?
Move to approve.
Move to have a motion?
Second.
And a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Now, would the grants need to be listed the same way we did for the Motorola, for the procurement?
Yes, sir. Just
Okay.
a motion to approve to apply for each one of them so we can send it to
Okay.
DMS.
So the motion to approve submitting the grants for Motorola System E911 system upgrade, E911 call recording equipment, and dispatch radio console maintenance. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
7.7 is the Highway 79 corridor update. Most of you guys know we've been in this Highway 79 corridor for a few years now, with Holmes County and Washington County being the heavy lifters in this. Sometime back, the city of Bonifay told us they would like to take ownership of this system and transfer liability to them. So with Holmes County, Washington County, and the city of Bonifay, we submitted everything to the State Department of Commerce and those entities that manage this grant. And we have approval from them to transfer this grant to the city of Bonifay. And they would be sole owner of the grant and the system, the infrastructure. However, the last few months, we've not had great communication with the city of Bonifay to get them to move forward. We had a 79 corridor meeting yesterday, and the recommendation from legal was that our county board have our administrator attend a city of Bonifay council meeting and make that request in person. And I want to get the board board's direction on that. The attorney for 79 Corridor said he would help, with talking points and, help navigate through that if the board's pleasure was to move in that direction. And Mr. Milton, you're heavily involved with that, so
Yeah,
is there any insight you could add?
the only thing, there is an agreement that needs to be signed, like an assumption agreement, that the attorney for the 79 Corridor has prepared. I've reviewed it, everything looks fine, in order. He just can't get a response back from the city of Bonifay, and they have not attended the last couple of corridor meetings. And so I think I had a hearing yesterday, so Matt attended the meeting yesterday. I think his recommendation is go to the city of Bonifay meeting and make that request, get on the agenda and make that request on behalf of Washington County. The reason being is Washington County is the grant recipient. So although the grant was for the benefit of the 79 Corridor, Washington County received the grant, and Washington County is responsible for all those obligations as it stands. And so the state has approved the transfer. We just need this document and this assumption agreement approved and signed by the city of Bonifay. And then, once that's done, the corridor authority itself can be dissolved. And that'll, there's some duplicative costs that both counties are incurring, audits, legal, all of those types of administrative issues or tasks and expenses that are being incurred by the corridor authority. So it makes sense for everybody to get this to the finish line. We're just having a little bit of difficulty getting them to communicate. So,
And it was requested that Holmes County take this back to their board as well and see if they were interested in doing it, so.
and it may be beneficial to coordinate where Washington and Holmes County representatives attend that same meeting with City of Bonifay, so you kind of have all the stakeholders present. I mean, I know the direction from Washington County. We got direction as far as moving forward this months ago, probably almost a year ago by now. And I think Holmes County is the same way. So it's kind of the ball's in Bonifay's court. We're just trying to figure out, is there a holdup? Is there an issue? Or is this just something where it's not priority to them right now? So we're trying to make it a priority by hopefully getting on their agenda.
Pleasure of the board.
So do you need a motion for that, or just a direction?
I think just direction to the administrator.
I mean, I believe this board has made that decision before, that we would like to transfer that ownership to the city of Bonifay, so if that's what we need to do, I recommend that we let the administrator go with that.
Okay.
I agree.
Mr. Bart, Ms. Marquez?
I agree.
Good.
Good.
Send it.
Mr. Cleaner, we'll start working on getting that coordinated. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move, continue to agenda item number 9, building official. Have anything new?
Charles Van Etter, building official. I didn't know if you guys wanted to talk about the flood ordinance or fire ordinance at this stage, or I didn't know what item it would be.
No, we're just gonna advertise it. The gentleman spoke earlier, and there were some references in there where it just used the word his instead of his/her. So
Sure.
I've gone back and modified that while we were here and forwarded it to Wendy, so that problem will be resolved. It was unintentional, and usually there's a statement that says any pronouns not to be construed as a gender. so
Correct.
I fixed
Yes.
that.
Sounds
Y'all
good.
have any questions for?
I just had one.
Sure.
You are the fire official.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Or maybe you tell me, what is your title when it comes to fire? Because I know you went, let's start there. What's your title for fire?
Fire official. That covers inspections, the marshals, the, whatever the language needs to be in Florida. So fire official could be, I mean, if the county administrator wants me to be the investigator, we can go to classes for that. Or if he wants to be the inspector, I can go, I've already got the classes for that. So the title is kind of broad, but it just gives a language in there to allow me to do a job that the county needs.
Right. And you went to school and certified for that position since you've been here?
Mr. Massey wanted me to do that since my background is, I was a fire marshal for 20 years, and I have obtained more certifications than most people in Florida. He saw that, and he wanted me to continue that in Florida. So I just took classes that that the state required. Matter of fact, I was exempt from 4 out of the 5 of them, but I still had to take 2 of the 5, and took the test and passed. So just to let you know, I am certified nationally through NFPA and also ICC, so I got both versions of it, where most fire inspectors here in Florida do not have that. So just to let you know.
And the reason I ask that is, when I think of fire, I think of the fire department. It's not my building official, so I just. And then
Yes, sir.
When it was pointed out to me, I'm hopefully clarifying for some other folks of what your role is in the building department, but also as fire inspector, but you have those certifications to go along with that.
Yes, sir. So what's interesting is I'm wearing this dual hat at no extra expense. So, but the way I wanted this ordinance to go is I want my authority to be under the fire chief in the county, not necessarily, it still be under the county administrator, but I wanted that umbrella to be under the fire chief. So, so the building will be separate and the fire would be separate. It'd be 2 different things that I'll be dealing with once this ordinance, once it passes.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
MSBU update?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
The MSBU committee did not meet this month, so we don't have any resolutions to forward to you. But I'd like to make the public aware of the fact that our next meeting is Wednesday, March the 4th, at the Sunny Hills McKenna Community Center. That's all I have for you.
What time is that?
I'm sorry?
What time?
6 o'clock.
Thank you. Is there any questions for? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Gary.
Parks?
Public.
Engineering projects update, 13.1, approval for task work order update to vulnerability assessment and adaptation plan. Mr. Sims.
If you recall, Hannah and I brought this to your attention and got these agreements in place, Ms. Carroll and Mr. Fleener. These are 2 task orders. They go hand in hand. They're both funded by the by FDP, the Resilient Grant Program, and both are 0 match. 13.1 and 13.2 are both funded by the same department. One is for your adaptation, which is 13.1, and updating your resilient or the vulnerability assessment. And then, Mr. Chairman, the second one will be for King Cutter Road, the design of that and permitting of that box culvert there on King Cutter.
Okay. Are there any questions for Mr. Sims from the board? Okay. We will take agenda item 13.1. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
And 13.2, the task work order for King Cutter stormwater improvements. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
I made the motion, he seconded.
Okay, you got it, Mr. Fisher?
Yes, sir.
All right, motion and a second. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank y'all. I'll get all this proper paperwork set up and get signatures and all, and once we get commitment, we'll begin these from the state.
I do got a question for John. Did y'all design the Brown Street project to get repaved over there? Did we get funded for that?
So we did assist in that. That's currently under, CDBG's reviewing that for the environmental process, and as soon as that's done, yes, sir, we did get that grant for the county.
Okay, so when do you think? You got a
We haven't
timeline?
started design. Typically, you wait for the environmental to get done, and I think I actually met with, Fred Fox Enterprises, who y'all hired for the grant admin on that several years ago. I think they're wrapping up the environmental, and I think she actually is gonna set up a call with Mr. Fleener and myself to, let us know where that's at to begin that design.
Okay.
So
Is
that
that
should
the
be
one-
in the very near future.
Is that the one that includes Campbell Park with it?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, that does include Campbell Park.
Okay.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Would you guys like to take a
Please.
10-minute break?
Yes.
All right, at this time, we'll take, We'll call our meeting back to order. We'll continue with agenda item 14, County Administrator, 14.1, website redesign and maintenance.
So in your package, you'll find the website redesign package. It is for informational purposes as of now. Right at the end of when we were getting ready to present, we found that we may be able to get another big discount, so we want to make sure that we're giving all the information before we present it to you. But there's some other things that we need to consider while we're looking at it, and we're just giving that to you to look at, and we'll make a decision next month.
Okay.
Okay.
Any questions from the board on that one?
So, I meant to look further, I meant to ask you, this doesn't reflect those possible discounts that was kind of brought up, okay, right. Yep.
Okay. Any questions? All right. Yes, sir. We don't have a motion and a second at this time. 14.2, burn ban ordinance.
We are proposing a new burn ban ordinance which gives more discretion not more discretion, provides more authority to local officials to implement and terminate the burn ban. This meets the requirements of the Florida Fire, the Forestry Department. So I'd like permission to advertise this to adopt next month. So y'all don't have to have a special meeting every time we're gonna do a burn ban.
Just for clarification, who would decide that?
The chairman, the vice chairman, the county administrator, Belmont County Administrator. Chair, vice chair.
It matches how we rescind it, so that the same chairman and vice chairman would have that same authority to rescind it. Like today, you know, we wanted to talk about removing it, but then we just have gotten word that the state has, the fire index has gone up again for us, even with the little bit of rain that we've got, and we want to be able to act more nimbly and be able to turn it on and off. Right now, if we turned it off now, then we'd have to have a special meeting to turn it back on, and it's back and forth. This will enable us to act quicker when we get good information or bad information about the fires.
So Wendy, I sent that to you in Word. Can you take out all the other people out of it?
I have, and they have a copy.
Okay.
Okay, are there any more questions?
Good.
Okay, so the,
Go ahead, Dave, sorry.
no, go
No,
ahead.
go. I was just, I mean, I'm getting a lot of calls, you know, from people that does control burns and burns of pines and stuff like that. I mean,
They can still do it if they get a permit from forestry. I think the ordinance says.
I think there's a provision
You get a
that,
permission from forestry, you go ahead.
okay, so if you can get a burn permit, you can burn it.
Now, I won't go speak for, I had one person call me, same thing, and they called forestry, and forestry said, now this was not control burn or not, this was yard trash, so that may be completely different. But he said basically that forestry told him that Washington County had the ban, so they just kind of passed the buck on us, so.
Yes,
I
sir.
don't-
And I can't remember if we've adopted this before, but this one specifically says, you get a permit from forestry, you're good to go.
yep, and the exemptions, it does clarify that any burning done pursuant to a permit issued by the Florida Forest Service or Florida Department of Environmental Protection.
Okay.
Those are the exemptions in this ordinance.
So under a ban, I mean, I reckon a certified pile burner can get a,
They get a permit,
Yep.
strike 'em out.
Yeah, basically, if they're licensed to do that and they get the approval from forestry, they're fine.
even if, I mean, cause the state's gonna refer it back to us cause we got a ban. I mean, with that, they acknowledge our ban for us, so, well, they got a ban, we can't give a permit. But that's,
They said that language had to be in our ordinance for it to be effective, so I don't
Okay.
think so.
okay.
Yeah, and I think it may be like Mr. Corbin said, if it's just a small trash pile, forestry may not override ours, but if it's someone that's licensed to do this through the state, they're probably, I would think maybe they're more apt to give that approval. So, all right, any questions? Is there a motion to approve advertising ordinance 2026-01? Motion to approve?
Second.
And a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. All right. 14.3, termination of MOU between Washington County and Economic Development Council. Mr. Administrator.
Going back in time, this has been, I would say clunky, how it's been done, and I don't like how it's been done, and I just wanna say that up front and, address everyone. Mr. Massey was working on this long before I got here. It was not passed on to the, EDC until, December or January, somewhere in that time period before he passed. But the intent of this is that the MOU is not appropriately working, and that the investment that was made by the county to pay for this position is showing how much the county is invested to move forward. And my recommendation is to, and we've talked about a lot of things. We can leave it as is. We can do it with just the county. You know, what's in between, and I've talked to several people about other things, and how do, you know, what do we do? We need a committee to help there. The way it is now, the committee really doesn't have any say over anything over the economic developer position. It's the Chamber of Commerce and the executive committee of the Chamber of Commerce that makes all those decisions. The commitment the county's made for this employee, we calculated how much additional money that it would cost. It's within the budget that we have to pay for that. We still need a committee to be a part of that. You know, there's options to leave it as it is, for us to do it all, which I don't think is the best thing for either one of those. So, my suggestion, based on the information that we've got, would be to terminate the MOU for us to move the position from the Chamber of Commerce and EDC Executive Committee to the county, and work with the committee for the next year to redesign, if they will work with us to stay forward and keep progress with the county. We've had questions about Sunshine, and are we in or out, and, you know, with things that have happened in surrounding counties, we have a concern that we're doing the right thing and with our money in it, and that's part of the decision. We don't want to take anything away from the people that have worked on this and the long history that the community has had with working away, and I want to emphasize that. It's not a knock on anybody in this room. It's a thank you to everything that you've done, and I, you know, want to say that. But if we really don't want to be passed by Holmes County and Jackson County, the county, which is y'all making the decisions, and ultimately it comes down to you for the grants and the things that we have to do, then we need to make the investment, and that's what I'm suggesting to you today.
I just stepped up in case you had any questions. Mr. Fleener and I have spoke on this 2 or 3 times over the last few weeks. I've reviewed the statute. Matt and I's biggest concern was the confidentiality provisions that are allowed under the statute. We want to make sure whatever direction we go, that we can maintain those confidentiality or the provisions under the statute that allow for that confidentiality. A lot of these economic development projects that come in, these developers, they don't want the adjoining parcels or anybody in the public to know, hey, you've got a Publix or a Chick-fil-A or whatever it is, because then all of a sudden prices start increasing and it causes problems for the developer. So that's, I think, the public policy reason behind having those confidentiality provisions in the statute. You can bring it in-house, you can leave it as is. I think one topic that came up during the EDC meeting was even creating a different entity outside of the chamber, which kind of surprised me, because I said, you know, you got the chamber basically talking about creating a separate entity outside of the chamber, which didn't really seem like that made a whole lot of sense from my standpoint, but that is a possibility as well. The statute allows for the county to have its own economic development agency, staff, employees, whatever it wants to do. Or it can contract with a third-party entity like what you have now with the chamber.
And officially designate that this is our,
Yeah,
and you can have more than one of those, but also with the confidentiality, the sunshine law provisions that have to be complied with, and it's difficult to do both of those.
Yeah.
But it can be done.
That's one question I have now, is if things stay exactly the same way they are, sunshine law is in play, correct?
it's a
That's
third,
what Pat Gleason told me.
yeah.
That sunshine law is in effect for those boards? But we do have the non-disclosure statutes that protects some things.
For certain projects,
Right.
yes.
But because they're utilizing public funds, they are subject to sunshine law. Is
You're-
that,
it's not just that they're using public funds, you're delegating some authority to that board. And that's the reason it's subject to the sunshine. So, I think Mr. Fleener and he and I have spoken, I think his thought process or his recommendation, and Andy, please step in if I overstep my bounds here, but I think the thought process is to have an advisory board similar to what you have now, but it's the county's advisory board that really, some sort of an advisory committee or something that meets with the Economic Development Council, but it's the county's advisory committee, not under the chamber.
You have all the skin in the game. You have the money. There's some private money. Last year it was a little over $20,000 that was in that budget. You know, what I'm saying is if you want to be in economic development and we want to move forward, we need to be committed, and that little bit of money, we need to do that and probably more in the future if we're really going to advance forward. But we still need help from different people. We need to work through. I really think the MOU needs to go away, and we need to either restructure it or do away with it, but the recommendation is to do away with the MOU and to bring the economic developer who is technically on staff under us, it'd be our retirement plan and our different things, and he would report to us. Currently, I'm not even allowed to talk to him. It's uncomfortable. I don't want to get into all that. I just want to, this is the recommendation. This is what I want to go with. It's
Yeah.
ultimately your call.
And it may make sense to have sort of two entities. One is this hybrid county entity that has appointed members like your planning commission, and have the Chamber of Commerce do what they do, because they don't have all the restrictions that we do. If they raise money and they wanna have advertisements for, we're gonna pass, the alcohol tax, they can spend that money on their own, not subject to our review, and do whatever they wanna do. So it's not doing away with their function, it's just organizing it and putting lanes in for who's gonna do what.
But currently, it's a nonprofit organization and it can accept funds from private parties. And once this comes under the county and it's ours, we can't accept funds from private entities.
You can accept donations from private entities or individuals. I mean, as a county, they can donate to the county or cities or whatever. I mean, that is possible. I don't know whether they'll do that or not, but it's possible. I think the biggest concern from Mr. Fleener's standpoint is the county is footing the bulk majority of the bill for the economic development function of the county, which is the county's relying upon the chamber to perform. But there's very little accountability back to the county for what that economic development director is doing. And there's a lot of different voices, the bulk majority of which are not coming directly from the county. That's driving that. And from my understanding, that is the concern that Mr. Fleener has, is we're not really, we don't have a lot of control over what goes on, and the visibility back to the county is very limited. And the county is the one footing the majority of the bill. The county is paying or funding that position. And I think that's the concern from Mr. Fleener's standpoint, is some way or another. And this wasn't just Mr. Fleener bringing this up. Like I said, there was discussion from my understanding, and I wasn't present, so I'm speaking completely third hand, but my understanding was there was discussion at the chamber meeting, the EDC meeting, about setting up a different board or setting up a different nonprofit that didn't fall under the chamber because of, I guess, some of these same types of issues. Not coming from the county, but coming from the EDC board itself. And
Brock, go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say, I've encouraged Mr. Fleener to have as many conversations as possible with the city of Chipley. The next largest stakeholder in all this would be the city of Chipley, and that's not a jab to any of the smaller cities in the rest of the county. That's just a fact. The city of Chipley is the largest municipality in the county. And so I've encouraged Mr. Fleener to make sure, and I've had conversations with their attorney as well, to say, hey, we want to make sure we're not stepping on the city of Chipley's toes. We're not doing this because of an issue directly with the city of Chipley. We want to continue working in that direction. We're just not real pleased with the current structure.
And they have the infrastructure that we do not have.
The city of Chipley? Yeah.
So explain to me exactly how this is gonna lay out. You know, so if we move it over to the, excuse me, to the county, and then we'll have a new board or the same board, or, I mean, how's this gonna structure?
That's what we need to figure out. I don't think I think it's not a good decision to just say, we can't use the people that are there. I think we need to have them there, but the line would change. Mr. Daniels would be more putting those meetings together and being over that committee of EDC, not reporting to them. His position would report to the administrator, which would report back to y'all. The goal of the EDC is to help, the committee is to help the EDC director. And that's what we wanna make sure he's getting the help that he needs. If they don't wanna be on that advisory council or whatever we call it, committee, board, you know, you can call it a lot of things, and in the MOUs, it's stated different. But in reality, there is not a Washington County Economic Development Board. It's a committee that's under the Chamber of Commerce.
And so, my next question is, if we do bring it over to the county, as a county employee, don't we gotta advertise that position? He just can't transfer from,
I believe he's already a county employee we're leasing to the chamber.
We verified through the Florida Association of Counties Attorney that, based on the MOU, that we're clear if we want to move forward like that we can.
Yeah, he's already a county employee.
But we didn't, but he wasn't interviewed by our staff and he wasn't confirmed by our board.
Correct.
I don't recall the specifics of how that all.
He was interviewed by the EDC and they did the background checks and they did everything in-house, and then it was, you know, here's the new person filling the position, but not like it was when we did the building official where we confirmed him as a department head.
Yeah.
Cause he would be,
Yeah, there would be a few more steps to go
Yeah,
through.
to answer your question, Mr. Griffin, whatever we gotta do from the HR side,
That's what I
we'll
was
make
gonna
sure that
make sure that we
happens. I
cover
think Mr. Fleener needs to understand what is the direction from the board. And it may not be something you can answer today. It may be something where you need to think about, or call Matt or I, or talk to Mr. Fleener separately, or whatever you need to do. I think he just needs some direction from the board of, hey, how do we want to set this up? Do we want to leave it the way that it is? Do we want to move in a different direction? What is the board's position on this?
And I'm more that we need to move it now than I was based on the decision. We're not even allowed to talk to the economic developing director. And we're paying for that position ultimately.
But To answer your question, Mr. Griffin, we did reach out to, FACT, and they, based on our situation, our MOU and the things we have in place now, that we would be legally okay to bring that position directly back to the county without advertising. That was their opinion. So,
To your point, and to Ms. Marquez's point, though, there probably will be some additional steps to confirm him as a director of the county, if that's the direction the board decides to go.
And then there'll be FRS, and he's already covered by the health insurance policy. I'm not sure which plan that was selected, but there'll be other fees that will go into his salary package, his benefit package, that probably will not be covered by the $75,000 that goes in now.
That's correct, and it's about $40,000 total that we're talking about with the benefits, with the travel, with the room and board, based off the prior history that I just received from the EDC committee this week. I've added that in. We have a way to pay for that. Ms. Bell and I have been talking, the 79 corridor money hopefully will go away this year, but we have other means to pay for it for a year until that does, so that should not be an option. And again, it's how committed do we want to be? Is another 20, 40,000, and that's what we're talking about. And
Whichever direction you go, there's still gonna have to be communications with your municipalities. I mean, not every economic development project is gonna be outside of municipality. As Ms. Marquez says, City of Chipley has the bulk of the infrastructure, which is probably within their municipal limits, which means if there's a project that comes forth, then that economic development director is gonna need, and Mr. Fleener is gonna need to have communications with City of Chipley. And ensure that if it's City of Chipley property, or, hey, we've got this potential project, we think it'd be great for the community. I mean, there's a continued line of communication that's gonna have to occur, whatever direction you go. I mean, I don't think that is really an issue, it's just, I just wanna make sure you understand that. This is not an attempt by the county to say, we're gonna do this on our own, and we're only gonna be looking for projects in the county, not in these cities. I don't think that is at all the direction that Mr. Fleener is looking to go.
and based on my conversations, that's not his, the intent. They will still work with
Yeah.
every municipality and community. Mr.
I
Brock?
would envision that committee to be set up, 2 members from the city of Chipley, or 3 from Chipley, 2 from Vernon, 1 from Ebro, 1 from Wausau. And maybe the people would be not necessarily a city commissioner, but a business owner in the city of Chipley, a resident of the city of Chipley. There's all kind of things to put together to make that good package to consider economic development. But
And there's-
first, we got to decide which way we're going.
And there's options, the Acquisition and Restoration Council that I used to help with, the governor appointed 3 positions, the head agencies. There's, to me, you want to look at the city of Chipley, Vernon, Wausau, and make sure that they are represented on there. And the other communities, Ebro, Caryville, we've got to look at all of it. And then I would even say even the chamber appointing a couple of members, y'all appointing a couple at-large members. There's ways we could do that. If we're going to do it today, then I would say we move forward and ask the current committee if they would stay on while we work that out over the next months.
Hold on, let me give Mr. Brock a chance. Do you have any questions right now, Mr. Brock?
No, right now.
Okay.
Okay. Dissolving this MOU is just the MOU for at least an employee, does not change the resolution that is already in place or the prior MOUs that pledge the amount of money that we get from the hospital to go, it would still go to economic development, correct? And does it going to economic development mean that it goes to the EDC board that is nonprofit, that money goes to them each year, or is it just set aside as a line item in the account that the clerk holds?
The EDC money is from the hospital is earmarked for EDC, to be used at the board's discretion, the VOCC, correct? And the board chose to use it for that salary, the VOCC.
The county has to designate its economic development agency. And if, go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead, Ms.
The
Bell.
96,000 is not used to fund that salary. The 75,000 comes from the general fund to the EDC each year. 75,000 is sent to them. 96,000 is separate from that.
So that doesn't come from that 96,000 at all? So where does that money go?
The 75,000?
No, the
96,000
96.
is in, a line item for economic development purposes. So when the board has an opportunity and wants to use those funds for economic purposes, they make a decision to do that.
And that's the account that has like 581,000 in it?
So
Okay,
that would be
that's-
for like surveying
Seems to be.
or planning and that kind of stuff?
Yes.
I will-
A couple
I
of
will-
times,
Go ahead.
there's been a couple of times the Highway 79 corridor funding was approved to come out of it also.
Well, I have to admit that I was not clear on that, and I don't wanna say misinformed, but I was under the impression that the 75 for that salary was out of the $96,000.
Well, are we getting, is the county
That's
getting
news to me,
reimbursed from the
so.
EDC for the salary of the employee? Because that's provided in the agreement that he's our employee, we pay him, and then they pay us back.
This is just a $75,000 line item in their budget.
Because the way the MOU reads, and we discussed this when it happened, we pay his salary and then they reimburse the county from his salary. The EDC reimburses the county.
So your question is, the 75,000 comes from a line item in our general budget, and that should be reimbursed by EDC. That's your question?
Yeah, that's in paragraph 3B of the MOU. Because I had those discussions with Mr. Massey when we did it. Did they have money to pay us back? Because that's the way these agreements work. And he said yes, but
And I think that's part of the problem that I have, is it's not clear, and I don't think that was the intent, but it's in writing, so it.
that was my intent.
Right. So the MOU is the topic, but if you look at our budget, we have the 75,000 for the EDC, 79 corridor, 63,000, or 46.5, and then the CRA is another 142,000. There's money that's set aside. It is separate line items for that money.
To clarify, so currently the county sets aside $170,000, spends $170,000 a year. No, I'm saying that wrong. Not spends it, because we don't necessarily spend the 95,000, it accumulates in an account, but currently we earmark $95,000 for EDC, and then we cut another check at like quarterly to the EDC for payment for the EDC director, totaling $170,000.
No.
No.
Okay.
The EDC is 75,000, and that's broke up throughout the year in payments when we're requested. The 79 corridor was 60,000 on the budget, but it's actually gonna be probably 46.5 is what we're looking at this year. So in the budget, it's the 60 plus 75,000 just for those two things, plus then CRA's on that line item, another 132,000, but that's separate.
The 90s, I think where the issue's coming in is the 95, 96,000. I think that's money that's coming in from outside sources, and then whether you spend it or not is a different subject.
Correct.
It's not being spent on the EDC right now. It's not allocated specifically to this position and the EDC.
Line item.
It's for economic development
This is
purposes,
coming out
but
of the general
not
fund.
the EDC. And it may or may not be spent. It gets either accumulated or spent on specific projects.
And the 75, I'll say, is not a new, budget item for them. It was 50,000 many years, and then, several years ago, it was increased to 75,000. Then the MOU came along about leasing the employee. Those are funds that have always been sent for the EDC.
And at the time when the EDC proposed this, that's whenever the board made the decision to up that from 50 to 75.
Not
I
sure
think
if
it was
that's
prior to
when. We
then.
do think it was prior to that they asked for more and increased, the board agreed to increase their budget.
What-
If,
Whenever, whenever we get through with our questions, I'm gonna make sure you guys have that opportunity.
We can resolve some of these questions.
Okay, okay.
if I were to go ahead and make a motion and got a second, we could continue with discussion?
We could, but we can have their discussion before that.
Okay.
It- I mean, that- Because they're, since they're the board members, they're just like in, they're gonna be able to have a chance
Okay.
without a motion in a second,
Okay,
so,
perfect.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Yep.
My only question to that is, will they be time limited?
no.
Okay,
There will be like an employee presenting.
perfect. That's all,
agenda
that's
item,
all.
so-
Because I was thinking the exact same Commissioner Marquez was, to maybe just get a motion in a second so we could open it up to discussion, but.
No, there will be that time too, but they can,
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you.
any other questions from the board at this time?
Jackson and Holmes was brought up. How does theirs work similarly to the way ours does now, or does it work differently?
They're different. Jackson County has a more pay-to-play, sit at the table, you put enough money. It's not exactly that easy, but they're all a little bit different.
Right.
When you look at Holmes County, part of their development is what y'all approved in prior history is what Washington County did to help them. And
The 79 corridor.
the corridor, which is, that's money we need to be putting into our community. So, they're all different though, to answer your question.
Anything else?
I do believe we need some changes, maybe some clarifications, maybe some things rewritten. But further discussion, so open to.
All right, if there's no other discussion between the board at this time, I'm gonna ask Ms. Tracy to come forward first, please.
Thank you, Chairman and Commissioners. For the record, my name is Tracy Andrews, 802 Orange Street, Chipley, and I serve as the Chairman of the Washington County Economic Development Council. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to shed some light regarding the information that we found about the potential defunding and now termination of the current memorandum of understanding. First, I believe it's important that we all understand history and the purpose for this organization. The Washington County EDC was originally established, yes, under the Chamber of Commerce, and later transitioned mid-2021 in its own governing structure as a subcommittee of the EDC with a separate executive director. That was the different part, was a director for Chamber and a director for the EDC. From its beginning, the board has been designed to function through both public and private partnerships because this is what successful economic development requires. I also want to take a moment to acknowledge and express sincere gratitude to Northwest Florida Community Hospital, and through the lease payment, they provide to Washington County in the amount of approximately $95,000+ annually. A portion has historically been allocated to support economic development efforts. And in speaking with the CEO there. I was not there back in 2003 when this agreement was signed, but it was all geared towards economic development. And at that time, we were the designated group that would be doing economic development for Washington County. And so for several years, as Ms. Bell has mentioned, I think our payments was around $44,000, $50,000, and just up until the last 2 years that we came back and asked for an increase of $75,000, the last 2 years, an increase to strengthen our ability to recruit, to compete, and to respond to the opportunities that we were receiving. So January of 2025, and you can go back and review your meeting, I did go back and review all the questions that each one of you asked me when I was up here about the MOU. It was strictly designed as a benefit package structure to help us to attract talent and incentivize growth for Washington County. Because when we were out recruiting, we realized that benefits was a major thing. Because I've sat on a board for not just this economic development group, but another, there were already another MOU that I was familiar with in place, and we were able to look at that to figure out how can we structure so that we can now have benefits, health benefits, for our new hire and make ourselves more marketable and be able to get that person in, because it's hard giving a stipend of just $500, $600. So in that agreement altogether, our whole intent was to be able to have that benefit package structure. Okay, I don't have 3 minutes. Okay. Benefit package structure, and it was to serve us that we would reimburse as we do, and of course Ms. Marisha understands that process, because we have a process that you pay for the benefit structure for the health, and we reimburse that back to the county. And we believe that that's a strategic tool, definitely not a handout, but an investment in workforce and community development. So I just want to be clear that the board has been effective, and I know we've talked about and we've heard some things about effectiveness, engaged, and committed. We have operated in excellence and and accountability, and we will continue to do so. So on last December, I will say last December 2025, it was mentioned about the possibility of being able to go ahead and fully become an economic development council, which meant that we would need to do paperwork financially, get our own federal FEIN number, which we would not now fall up under the chamber, but we would be our own separate entity. We would work as others have worked throughout the state of Florida, our own bylaws and our own executive board, and decide about the board that we already had. And it was mentioned, we felt like it was rushed, so we thought we would take 2026 to work through those working parts to decide how we could move forward, because we wanted to be a standalone entity and so that we can continue to move forward. And so in January, in our first board meeting, we had that information on our packet so that we can keep it very close, because that was something that we were hopeful that we would be able to establish by the 2027 calendar year. So when we look at our recent history, and we have had measurable wins, and after we know about the successful alcohol initiative passing here in Washington County, making Washington County become wet versus dry, and then having also at least one certified site, which is now the Washington County Industrial Park that's located off of Pecan Street, we began to receive a lot of projects, a lot of leads, a lot of prospects for our industrial site, because it's certified. So there's a lot of things that we felt that could happen. So, and I'll say this, we've always received projects or prospects, but there's a lot of things that we noted that we did not have in Washington County, and we've mentioned those things for years in our discussion. A 50,000 square foot shell spec building, something where when we bring someone here, we can take them there and say, we have this, because we were getting lots of leads. You got to have a 50,000 square foot shell. The only entity in Washington County that has built such was the city of Chipley, and it's been housed by West Point Stevens, West Point Homes, and that works. It is due diligence. If you have a building, it works. It's just a matter of time that we'll have someone in there leasing that building. So I'll say this, we are responding, we're building, we're actively developing a portfolio of potential parcels and sites across Washington County. And I say that strongly because I know that City of Chipley may be the largest municipality, but the other municipalities matter. The city of Vernon, the town of Wausau, the town of Caryville, Ebro, all of those are still areas that we are targeting, and we have potential parcels in each region that we're focusing on because some focus is a little bit different than others. And so our positioning and our pathway is to help all of Washington County. And so we believe that we have the foundational steps to continue to move forward. We are preparing, we're positioning, and we're partnering so that when these opportunities come, we can be ready. We can be ready to move forward. So I'm going to end it like this and say, several board members are here, but publicly just thanking our working board. I believe we have an excellent working board. We have room to grow. We have stakeholders and leaders. We have at least one person from each entity, from each municipality to sit on our board. We've left seats open for Town of Ebro, Town of Caryville, because we so desperately want everyone at the table. And yes, we don't have the structure yet built to have a pay-to-play positioning, but we do have some sort of contributions that's given. But for those financially constrained areas, I would not want to not bring them to the table because financially they can't support, because they also have a precious service that we don't have, and that is being able to provide utilities. And so they may not financially be able to give, but hopefully they'll be able to give in other ways. And so as our communities are growing, we are growing together and trying to help every other community, other municipality grow with us. And so we've had real wins, and we are having wins. We've made some saves that you don't even know about. It wasn't important for us to publicize it, but we had a big win on last year when we knew one of our facilities was going to close. We didn't mention that, but we advocated behind it, and we did certified letters to the decision maker, and was later told that that particular facility was removed from the list. So there's things that we do. There's opportunity that awaits us, but we're not just sitting around not doing anything. And like I said, I'm not for certain how y'all have the money lined out over there. All we were ever told, and I know Mr. Ellis is here, he can probably add to it because he was a part of the board when that took place. But there was 90-something plus dollars, and the whatever amount we were getting, whether it was 44, 50, or 75, was that portion. The county will always have the largest investment in economic development versus the municipalities. Always. Should. But for the most part, I think that we've done well. And yes, we've only brought in $25,000 last year in investments. We brought in our new director in July. We gave grace for that, but we were able to stay on target with our budget. We were never thought, when I did the MOU, when it was brought, that we would have to pay back the $75,000 plus the reimbursements for insurance, because we're not reimbursing the municipalities who give some. I would not have known that. But I would hope that today, I guess I need to say that I do not agree with the idea of defunding or all of this termination, but I understand the county's position in evaluating its structure and its future direction, because that is important as well. So I'm not discrediting that at all. I appreciate the fact that you are focused and that you are looking at all things. Would have loved to have a workshop so it could be talked through a little bit more clear than just brought straight to a vote with little insight on the true background. And there's really more to tell. I don't have all time. I got my grandbabies this week, and I am splitting time with them and trying to be a good servant here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Andrews.
Ms. Burge?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I serve on the EDC Council and has for some years, and I'm the treasurer currently. So of course, Andy was attending our meeting yesterday, and we gave him 3 years year-to-date financial, and we did raise a little over $28,000 last year in private investments. It has increased yearly. And so we did come back to the county 2 years ago and asked for an increase of $75,000 from the $50,000 we had got previously. Years before, it was like 35, 44, so it was a very nominal amount, to help with a salary, to get someone that we could absolutely market. I was on the calls and part of the MOU when we discussed it with Mr. Fuquay. He is the one that drafted the MOU for us, and we were very upfront. It was for health insurance only. I think Chairman Pettis was in a meeting with us with Jeff Massey, myself and Tracy to discuss that. We were allowed to be able to offer that as a benefit and was able to, obtain an ED director that needed those benefits. Every month, we work very diligently to get the money back to the county that they pay for the health insurance as quickly as possible. I do not agree with the defunding. I think that there is a lot of things that's kept confidential because of projects, as we all know. They have code names for a reason. I know that other counties, and if you'll go look at the state of Florida total, I think you can count on less than one hand how many counties run their own EDC. You can ask any of us that sit on the EDC council, where do the leads come from? Not one lead that we're working comes from the county. Those leads come from Great Northwest, FPL, Opportunity Florida. So I would like to know if the county does to say they want to take the EDC, where will your leads come from? And it's not just on the public property that's at the industrial park. We get leads for private property. We work with private industry, private developers, private investors that might have a building in the Chipley Industrial Park that's sitting vacant. We've showed a building there 4 or 5 times to prospects. I got an email yesterday from an owner of a building in the Chipley Industrial Park that says, hey, it's back available. Please bring somebody to lease this project, to lease my property. So I just wanted to state that we never thought that it was to pay back the $75,000. We had received that the year before. Why would we go back and want to pay back what we didn't have to start off with? But we do appreciate you always supporting the EDC, and those funds have been crucial into what we've done. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Ellis?
Good morning. Appreciate the opportunity to address the board on this issue. It's one that's near and dear for me because my dad was a part of establishing the first EDC back in the county 40 years ago. And it's the historical nature of EDCs to have operated like they've operated through time. And it's a public-private partnership. That's what it's designed to be. It's not designed to be just another function of government. And the reason for that is the ability for private people to be involved in the process of advising and helping establish the climate for economic development in our county. That's the tried and true method that's being used throughout the state of Florida and nationally. And by saying, oh, well, we're just going to bring this back in and let the county operate it is basically going against the grain of almost every economic development type organization in the country, and certainly in the state of Florida. Now, addressing the specific issue of funding for the EDC, okay? Yes, the efforts of the EDC are on behalf of Washington County. So Washington County, in my opinion, should be the largest stakeholder in that process. Prior to a few years ago, the county was given less than $50,000 to that effort, okay? So if you took your annual budget, which Ms. Bell runs in the what? The annual budget for the county?
Yes, it is upwards of 50 million
Okay.
this year.
So
Fluctuates.
if you were asked the question by a constituent, are we serious about economic development? Well, how much do y'all contribute annually to try and help that effort? $50,000 or less? Does that sound like you're very committed out of a $10 million budget? I don't think that sounds like much of an effort. And the EDC, as a result of losing some economic the executive director and having to go into the market to try and find talent, one of the things that we knew is we can't go find an executive director that has the ability that is going to lead this organization for $50,000 and no benefits, okay? So that's why the EDC asked for additional funds to catch up with the times and say, we just need that additional funding to help provide a leadership position, okay? So that was one of the reasons for the additional funds. It was not an additional 75, it was take the total to $75,000. Years ago, we asked for the funds that were being repaid to the county through the hospital. We asked I stood here and asked that it be designated for economic development. But we specifically said at the time, we're not asking you to give us that money. We said, just set it aside and earmark it so that when we have opportunities to utilize it for something that makes sense and can take care of something within the county, help with the process, whatever, we'll bring you a request for those funds. Otherwise, it's your money. It's sitting in your bank account. And so it doesn't need to be confused in any of this process. So annually, right now, the county is contributing $75,000 a year annually to help fund the EDC. The $28,000 that we have in private donations comes from companies that I work for, engineering firms, the hospital, that all contribute a part because they want to see the economic climate be the best that it can be in Washington County. That's the purpose of it. It's non-political. And everybody that serves on it is volunteers, okay? I have volunteered and served for over 20 years on the board just simply because I love Washington County and I want to see it be better. And I've been very frustrated by this process coming about in such a way in which we didn't sit down and talk about, well, what are some ways that we could make it better? We didn't say, well, here's something we're unhappy about it, let's talk about it. Basically, it came about that it's going to be taken back in the county and we're going to eliminate it. And in my opinion, that is goes against the grain of the unified effort that we've always tried to have in Washington County. I've always prided myself on being able to say I was from Washington County because I believe we're different. And I believe we've always worked together in a cooperative effort and way. And in my opinion, this is not the way to go about it. By drawing lines in the sand and shunning folks that have been volunteering and making an effort to make things better, and basically making them feel like, well, y'all weren't getting the job done, so we're going to bring it back in. And if you say, well, we weren't having enough input, well, all I ask you is how many of y'all have called and asked any of us that are members of the board, well, what are we doing? And ask questions, okay? And that's a problem. If you have, has anybody ever called and not gotten an answer? I don't think so. So I just would implore you that we take a step back, that we certainly don't need to end the MOU as it stands right now, because that is the functioning body, and there are projects and things that are in the works. So we need to move forward, but I don't think that's the right way to approach it at this point in time. And I appreciate you letting me speak. Thank you.
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
Was there a discussion or directive made to the executive director that he can't speak to the county administrator or a board member? And if so, why?
I'm not on that was from the Chamber Executive Committee, and I don't serve on that. I serve on the EDC. So I can't speak to that.
I think that sort of churned this up from at least my talking with these people, that sort of said, well, then what are we doing?
Right. Well, my understanding was that came about as a result of it being said that this is what's going to happen. It's going to be on the agenda, and we're going to vote to eliminate the MOU. So that's when that process came about, not before. And that was my understanding. But again, I don't serve on that committee. I just serve on the EDC.
Mr. Ellis, thank you for that historical background.
Thank you.
Do you want your question answered?
Yes, ma'am, please.
We had a meeting with Mr. Fleener, the Washington County Executive Board that's over the EDC board. And at that time, in our discussion, we were surprised to know that that the defunding would be on this day's meeting. And at that time, we were not going to be on the workshop, so there wasn't going to be a discussion. It was just going to be on this meeting. and that we were told that this is just how it's going to be and moving forward, and that there was already a unanimous decision about this particular situation. But when we realized that, we had to pull up as the executive board to say, how do we go from here? We need to make some changes internally, and we made a decision. Mr. Fleener has access to me. I know everything about every project, and he can call me during this time period until we can get our head wrapped around what today was supposed to be about, so we can know how to proceed for next week. So that was already decided before that ever took place.
Okay, I don't know the
Yeah.
timeline, I just know I
Yeah.
got those calls. and
Yeah,
concerns.
I think it got things intensified after this is just how it is, and there was no wiggle room to have discussions or this. I didn't know what today was gonna be, because typically at a regular meeting, you don't have that much discussion points. That's done at a workshop. It's deciding factor. You decide and you go from there.
Okay, any other member of the EDC board like to come to the podium? No others? Okay, so the executive board made the decision to ask the director not to have conversations with the board?
What we did was, we actually, for the record, we put him on administrative paid leave until we could figure things out, because it seems like there's a lot of inner talking. We've got maybe he's in conversation with you all are talking about bringing him over here. We're thinking, what is going on? And we thought, until we can wrap our head around it, we got to put a pause on this to keep this conversation and communication of these things until we can find out openly what is going on. So at some point, yes, he'll be able to refer back to you and talk with you. But I've been available for you for any time that you needed anything outside of, I am on vacation this week, and I made that kind of clear, but I've been available to do what needs to be done. Matter of fact, we've got a project that's going to be submitted today on behalf of Washington County for Washington County. None of the workload has stopped. It's being taken care of on a daily basis.
Okay, and my next question is not to cast stones or anything, but was that meeting that made that decision, was that the meeting that happened on Friday the 13th?
That was the executive board's decision.
Okay, so that was not made in the meeting February 13th where the county was not invited?
That was the decision for the executive board to do that, to make that decision until
Okay.
we could wrap our heads around it.
Oh, but, and that's what I wanted to clarify, if that was the executive meeting or the meeting held on the 13th, that we were not.
It was the executive board that made that decision.
On February 13th?
Yes.
Okay. No other EDC members were present?
Only the executive board of the chamber.
Okay. What about Thursday, the 12th, that meeting? Who was in attendance there?
The Thursday was the 13th.
Friday was the
I'm sorry,
13th.
I'm sorry, the meeting was on the 12th. I'm sorry, it's not the
Okay,
13th.
so-
There was no meeting on the 13th.
Okay, so the 12th was executive meeting?
Yes.
No other EDC board members present?
The executive board of the chamber is who did the hiring in the past and have done the firing in the past.
Okay.
So they're the ones that hired the.
Was there a Teams meeting?
I think what he's asking about is the fact that to give a late briefing on, hey, we've talked with our executive director and expressed where we are and what took place, because we had to say this is what took place. It is our very understanding, there's been a lot of talking going around the table that excluded some of us, a part of it, and it centered around the county's version and our executive director. And so we made the board know that he is going to be on administrative paid leave, because we have got to get a pulse on what's going on and get a conclusion on the truth of the matter.
And I think that was my question was.
Yeah.
There obviously has been some miscommunication, but
Sure.
there was a meeting held on the 12th that the EDC director, myself, or Mr. Fleener were not included on. Am I correct?
That is correct. Obviously, we haven't been included on a lot of things because there's been lots of discussion amongst the county and not never brought to the EDC and our executive director that truly involves all of us as a board. And you all are planning to take over, redo away with our board, with no regard to the fact that we've been working together closely. So we pulled together as many as we could get together to talk, to say, hey, Tracy is filling in until we can figure this out.
Were we invited to that meeting?
I didn't send the correspondent out. Miss Jan Page did, and she also sent out one for our meeting on yesterday that I think was canceled, and some were left off but resent out, and some didn't come. So I would have to get with her on that.
Okay. So that was my question. The reason I asked that question is if we would have been invited to that meeting, maybe we could have explained some of this, but.
I don't think so, because I don't know how you could explain it, because when we were met, we were told this is a unanimous decision and it's gonna happen. So it was already clear, very clear, when we met,
So-
unanimous decision from the board.
So that's the reason we were not invited to the meeting.
I'm not saying that you weren't invited. There was a lot of meetings that was sent out at the last minute.
Well, I don't know that I could go to court and testify, but
Well, that's
I
fine.
believe there's a meeting held on the 12th that the county was not invited to, and we're part of the EDC.
And there's been no discussion here as to what's gonna happen, a unanimous decision of the board. I mean, the county administrator can bring you a recommendation, but it's still up to you guys.
And if I may, just for clarification, I felt confident that we needed to make a change, and I expressed that to the executive committee of the Chamber of Commerce. But I also said, we can leave it like it is, we can do the nuclear, and we can do what I'm wanting to do, or anything in between, and my door is open, please call me. And they wanted to know what that looked like. Well, I'm telling you, I don't know what that looks like without working with you, but you're not calling me and you're not talking to me. So we're being left out of meetings. It's which entity? I go to the EDC meeting yesterday or Wednesday, and there's not a quorum there. So we don't have the support at the actual meeting to even have a meeting.
Yesterday, we didn't have a quorum. There was a couple of meeting changes, cancellation. That's the first, maybe the second time in history we haven't had a quorum, but they were all accounted for. But the fact of the matter is, I mean, I think, and I don't know this, and we can only think because we can only go by what we were told multiple times, that there was going to be a unanimous vote to support termination. At that time, it was just funding. It was nothing about the MOU up until just recent. And so to support the funding and bringing that up under there, and it could have been the MOU, but the only thing we heard was the funding. And we did have an option. We sat there and pleaded for an hour and something of what our wins are and why now. There has been no communication openly except in January 18th that this is going to happen. That's in the minutes that you have there. And we all were shocked, except for a few people who have been in discussion about this all along. And so we were shocked that this was even being considered. But either way, we still have to work together for the greater good of Washington County. That is our stance. Nothing will change that. But I just think how this thing went about totally could have been done totally different. And it does take transparency on all people's part to do that. And I don't think we all were, everything was totally transparent. And I can't speak of what was discussed months into it, and I can't bring up the late Jeff Massey's name to say that he shared that same great interest of doing this. I can't speak of that. He's never mentioned that to me, so I can't talk about that.
He did mention it in December at the meeting, just for the record.
You've got the December minutes that were typed up. I didn't do those, our executive director does. There is nothing. He talked about a lot of things that he was passionate about and how we go about getting a win. And I understood what he was wanting, and I get that. But just to say we briefly talk about it is not enough to have a thorough conversation. But that's not reflected in the minutes, but we can maybe if he has the video or the tape, or if he went on his memory, we can pull that back.
Okay, any other board members want to speak? Have anything to add? Okay. Any other questions from the board?
I've been very quiet, obviously. I have so many mixed emotions about the whole process. I will say the term unanimous decision has been brought up several times. That there was a unanimous decision already made. That's not the case. I've never told anybody how I was gonna vote or that I wanted to disband the EDC board. Jeff and I have had conversations over the last several months, and he expressed he had issues with the board and the way it was being done. He brought that up at that meeting, maybe just briefly, but so there were problems, and I have discussed that with Mr. Fleener in some of our discussions. So I may have led him to believe that I wanted to disband or something like that. So maybe he had so I'll take ownership in that, but I never said that I would vote to disband this unit as is or change it. But I know I believe it needs changes. I believe we have good people on this board. So I believe we could. I wish we'd have went into this a different way. I think everybody, hindsight is always 20/20, but. And I don't know what's gonna happen because I can't speak further. You know, I'm one-fifth of a decision. So however this goes, you know, if this were, I'll throw a hypothetical, you know, and maybe just a head nod. You know, if we could come to some sort of conclusion where we kept the board and included the county more, I stepped up. I made the motion to hire Mr. Fleener. I believe in his abilities and his direction for this county. I know he cares about this county. He's lived here his whole life, all the thing. So I believe, and I expressed this to him yesterday in our little meeting, that I believe in interjecting him into the EDC more. You know, I understand us board members and sunshine law and public records and NDAs and us not. Sometimes we can't know, and that frustrates me. It frustrates me. You know, y'all know more than I do, and yeah, I'm elected, and y'all are unfortunately unpaid volunteers. But you know of billion-dollar corporations that may be coming to this county. But I understand that. You know, it'd be nice, and it is my fault. Mr. Ellis brought up. You know, I haven't called. You know, and asked, and you can't tell me specifics, but I would like to know possibilities. You know. In my phone calls this week, I know there's 2 possibilities that y'all are working on. I didn't know that before. So it is hard for us to see what you're doing. Ms. Andrews brought up, you know, saving a place that was looking at leaving. You know, we don't know that. Maybe we need to, our chairman does go, he's part of the board meetings. We can't go, we can't even listen in, you know, because of laws, and it's so restrictive. I believe we could I hope we could make a concerted effort for us to work together better. I don't know how that looks. I believe there's some things wrong with this MOU that's been brought out, and I'm not saying scrap it, but I believe there's some things that need to be fixed. And on top of everything, I hope we can keep these relationships, especially with the municipalities. I mean, everybody has, they brought a lot to the game. Your dad started this. I think of Mr. Oley and Tommy McDonald. They were pioneers, you know, when I was growing up.
Yes, sir, Mr. Ellis.
Well, and you bring that up. I was actually chairman when I asked Ms. Zena to serve, and I remember her telling me, well, what do I bring? And I said, well, you bring passion and make a difference to this county, and she served very well as well through many opportunities there. The only question, I keep hearing the county doesn't have a voice, but, you know, Chairman Pettis and the administrator have a seat on the EDC board at every meeting. So again, I'm real confused as to I understand sometimes how the commissioners would be in the dark, because again, the confidentiality things, but there's all kind of general things that could be talked about at any point in time about, well, there's some positive things going on, there's several projects being worked, there's all kind of information that could come to the board members that don't involve things that are confidential. And so they have an opportunity and a seat at those meetings every time. So it's not like something's being withheld and they're not a part of the conversation. That's the county's there. So again, some of the information, in my opinion, that the board needs could still come from those two representatives and give updates on things that are going on, but not give specifics of projects. And you would certainly be much better informed then. And then again, all of us would be willing to answer any questions.
Before you sit, Mr. Ellis.
Sure.
And you alluded to a few points there. Give me your thoughts and ideas on how we could move forward.
Well, I think, in my opinion, how we ought to move forward is we ought to just stop the process that we've started, unfortunately, of just stopping funding, and because all that does is created a point in time in which there is no EDC at that point in time. We cannot survive and function without funding from the county. So, and going forward, what I would like to see is just greater discussion of what kind of reporting or what do you want back out of the EDC. And again, I think some cases, I think there's a misconception about the EDC is it's a volunteer board. Other than the economic development director, it's a volunteer board. And so fortunately, many folks like Chairman Andrews have been able to, within their job role, have some flexibility to spend a lot of time and make things happen. Because if it hadn't been for her and what she's done in the last couple of years while we've been directorless and doing a lot of other things, we would have absolutely been in the ditch and nothing would have been going on. Because I certainly don't have time to do it. And most of the other board members don't. We're volunteer and we advise, and when we have an opportunity to jump in there and make things happen. And so, in my opinion, when you bring that under the county and then you then say, all right, well, we just want you to serve on that. Well, then we all know some of the mess that goes along with county business and in the public, okay? I don't need that stress in my life, so I'm not interested in being a part of that, okay? I'm not on the school board anymore, and I made that choice because I don't want to be in that room anymore. Most of the other board members are the same way. They want to serve and volunteer and help, but not interested in being in the political game. That's why this has been so upsetting to me, because that's what it's turned it into. So I think the best thing to do is to just, however, we need to move away from the idea that we need to terminate it, and we need to begin working together and determine what do we want to do to make it better, what do you need to have to make it feel like it's working better for the county. And then in many cases, I'd say, county, if you're interested in spending more money on it, let's step up on what we can do to utilize those funds in the best way to improve the process and make it work better for Washington County. So that's my input. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Andrews, if you don't mind, I want to get your same thoughts, please.
Yes, sir. Oh, you're asking me my thoughts?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Thank you for your thoughts.
Oh, my God.
I'm sorry, I was not clear. Like I asked Mr. Ellis, what are some of your thoughts moving forward?
I would love to see us reset, set up a meeting workshop, and let's talk through some of these things. I still believe in what we're trying to do, is to bring it under its own FEIN number and establish it as a standalone. And I do believe that in order for the board to be more engaged, you have the opportunity or flexibility. If you don't want one person, you could rotate it out each month and have a commissioner come each month to be a part of those discussions and to see the projects. There's nothing in there that we discuss that can't be discussed anywhere. I mean, a stranger or guest could come. We will still continue with our flow of everything is, of course, project code names. None of that would change. We can do that. But I think we've come too far. We've worked extremely hard. We've got a ways to go, and we shouldn't. I don't want us to sabotage ourselves as a team inside out. We are much stronger together if we continue to work together and talk out those things, talk out those concerns, or not beat around or mention it. What are you trying to say? That's the only way we can address it. That's my only thing is that. That's how we've been successful over the years. It's clear, I think clear communication. In the areas where it's not as clear, then we need to do a better job of making sure that we are all clear and on the same page respectfully.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I can interject here, I think it'd be good if we had a meeting of the leadership with the lawyers to maybe reorganize, because I've heard the chamber, I've heard the executive committee, and when I was trying to set up the employee leasing agreement, I never was clear how the delegation of authority took place. So I think if we came together and talked about what we're doing, I think we've been doing a lot of things because that's the way it's been done. And they need to be formalized, and there needs to be organization as to who is going to be on these committees, and I would suggest that the chairman of the county commission be on the executive committee, which is a part of the economic development committee, which is part of the chamber, but I don't think any are reflected in the chamber's minutes or documents, just because that's how we've done it. So, can I nominate Clay to do that? He has worked with some of the stuff in Jackson County that is similar type of struggle, and it wouldn't be a pay to play, but he's been working on that more than me. I just understand the confusion.
Okay, so hearing everything we've heard this morning, over the past several minutes, what is the pleasure of the board to move forward at this time?
Maybe we could just get kind of a little, each commissioner kind of just give their thought. So we can get we can't talk, and I brought that up, I'll get on that soapbox, sunshine, I mean, it's great for what it's intended for, but man, it sure hinders the process.
It does that.
But, you know, I don't know how other, you know, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I wanted to call these guys and ladies, you know, to find out, and I can't. So, I'd like to know what other commissioners think. I'll go first if they, I mean, if I'm putting people on the spot.
I think you volunteered.
As I said before, I'm gonna ask a question and just nod your heads, you know, if we can continue not as is, because that's not gonna happen, we're gonna change. But if we can continue in a semi-quasi as is, that board, is this board, the EDC board, I'm losing words here, I put a lot of thought on this, but is the EDC board and chamber board still willing to work, mainly right now, because I'm just gonna be, and let's call it out, is animosity between our new administrator and, you know, and our board, you know, can we mend this and get, if we were to keep it, is everybody willing to make those efforts, you know? Are you willing to make those efforts toward?
Always have been, and I said that in the meeting last week.
Right, okay.
Just tell me what you want. I'm more worried about the employee though, right now.
Well, and I'm getting to that. I know there was talks about, there was a lot of intermingling of talking between different people and all, and I know the director's put on paid leave, but kind of looks like he might get fired if here shortly. And I know this isn't a board meeting, but, you know, can we leave that position alone for now until we find out? Nobody's gonna nod on that.
That would be up to the executive board, the chamber, as to the hiring, and who wants to be in charge of that.
Right.
And feel like right now, absolutely, personally, I think it's been very obvious that we are all passionate about Washington County. This is where we live, this is where we work, and we want to see Washington County flourish and grow. So absolutely, we would love to still have a relationship with the county and be able to work through that. I will say that the meeting we had last week with your administrator, Mr. Planner, it come off a little straightforward, and I left there with a little something, thinking, a unanimous, what in the world, we're just hearing about this 2 weeks ago, and here it is unanimous, what in the world? So we had to react accordingly, because we did feel that our executive director knew some information that we were not aware of, and he is to, of course, to respond to we do the hiring there. So I can't say what the executive board will do when it comes to the employee at the time.
And to be fair, that happens both ways with people on this side talking and people on this side talking. So that goes both ways. So can you get past that? That's the issue at hand.
I believe that you can, if you care about Washington County. Everybody, we all can get past that. I think there's lots of misunderstandings. But if you can't, be honest and say you can't. So we'll know what we're working with too, because, it's gonna take a concerted effort on everybody's part.
And I speak for this board. I believe we've shown that we do care. We didn't just come in here and throw a vote out. I believe all 5 of these members and our administrator took into consideration that, and that's why we spent an hour and a half talking about this. I knew it was gonna be long, and part of that's my fault, but, I care. That's why I'm here. I don't do this for the money.
Yeah, you do. You know you do.
Yeah, just a little bit shy of what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, those are my questions, friends of mine tell me I can work with anybody, and I can't. You gotta hit me really, really bad wrong, for me not to be able to work with you. I know other people have higher strung personalities than I do. Some of them may be here in this room.
What are you trying to say?
I ain't saying anything other than I call nobody, but, people are passionate. I think we all want what's best for Washington County. We're fixing to see growth. We all know that. We've heard, our name is in Tallahassee. All the way up to the governor's office. Our county name is being tossed around, like it's never been before. So we're gonna see that growth. And I just, I want to continue to see the right growth. I don't want us to grow too big, too quick. What happens, growing pains, but it's coming whether we want to or not, so we gotta be ready.
Sure.
I don't know if I said anything in all that, but anybody have any questions for me or how I feel?
No.
And
So what's your direction?
I wanted to hear yours and yours and yours.
I'll go next if you want me to.
And then we could, from the board,
Yeah.
call it what you want. This board is gotten more and more unified.
Oh, we have.
over-
I do agree with that 100%.
I can see the votes and all. We have different opinions, and we've had 2 non-unanimous votes today, but that doesn't mean we're a divided board. People always ask me everywhere I go, are you a 3-2 board or a 4-1? No, we have our own opinions. We're not divided. We just want to do what's best. And my opinion, what's best may be a little different, but ultimately we all want the same goal.
Well, my opinion is, I think that maybe if we take a step back and give it one more chance, get everybody at the table together. That's how you handle problems. You get everybody there, all parties involved, and, just streamline it. Like, this is what Washington County expects, this is what this one expects. But I think if we pump the brakes on it and give it one more go, and if it don't work out then we come back and make the hard decision whether to, dissolve it or what. But, EDC's doing a great job. Everybody on there is volunteers. Us as commissioners, yeah, we get paid, but How many times your phone ring a day? I mean,
Depends on the
it's,
day.
it's constant, nonstop. I mean, that's what we signed up for, because we care about Washington County, they care about Washington County, so. And I think, in Andy's defense, you know, he's a new administrator, and, you know, he's doing a great job. I mean, and I think him getting involved in this and finding out the issues that we need to address and change, I think will benefit us in the long run. And if we do that, and we try it, and we all get together, and it don't work, then so be it, but we at least give it a chance. And, you know, that's my thoughts on that.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, I'll go next. I want to start by saying that I've learned a lot in the last 10 days about what the EDC does, and I had no idea, and thank you for every member that serves and what you do, and the EDC director. And thank you for every member that took my phone calls to fill me in and answer my countless questions. I know you've got a busy schedule, and you probably didn't want to answer my phone calls every time I had another question, because I got a lot of them. I'd like to see us go back to the drawing board, all of us come together, maybe the EDC and the executive board of the chamber and the BOCC members come up with what we would like to see change, what we think could help, have a workshop on this. And I would like to see at our board meetings monthly, and I know there'll be some things that he can't update us on, but I'd like to see where we have an MSBU advisory board and all the other things that, all the other directors that update us, get an update from him on what he can talk to us about. And, us all just communicate with however we're allowed to do that under chapter 119. But just to, I'll communicate, be on the same page, because we're all on the same team. We're all Team Washington County, all of us. So, those are my thoughts.
Mr. Brock?
Yes, I learned a lot today, from both sides. But I appreciate the job Mr. Flinger's doing. He's reached out to me about if I had any questions, or concerns about it. And, but I appreciate all the volunteers y'all have done over the years. And, I'm with Mr. Griffin Marquez. I think the county needs to step back and, give it one more chance and see what, we can come up with. Try to work out this solution. If it don't work, it don't work. We all in it for one thing, serving people of Washington County. That's it. And, I appreciate what y'all have done, and like I said, just see what we can come up with together. That's all I had to say.
I talked with Mr. Ellis last night, and I told him I worked with him whenever I was 2 weeks out of high school. Had a lot of respect for him, and he brought a lot of insight to our in our discussion last night, and mentioned a few of those things this morning. I do know that we all have to work together as a team. I think that we can get to where we want to go and still work hard and help Washington County prosper. I do like the idea of the EDC becoming its own entity, moving that direction. I do think the sunshine laws and some of that's gonna come into play. So it's, some of those things we do as board members with BOCC, and even you guys as EDC, that sometimes decisions are not fun or easy. But in the end, if we get to the same goal and the same outcome, everybody wins. So I think I will take the privilege to speak on behalf of the board. We all want to win, and I think we will all work to make that win happen. So, anything else, guys? So, do we need that in a form of a motion or direction?
No, I think just a direction to set a meeting between yourself, the county administrator, somebody from my firm like Clay, and somebody from the chamber and the EDC board, to the extent they are separate entities. And let's come up with a new entity that serves the job of what's being done, with input from everybody, but we have organizational structure, we have bylaws, we have rules, we have procedures, so we don't get to this point again.
I agree with that. And like I said, if we can't make it work then, you know, we've tried. And then, so,
I would just reiterate a comment, if I can make, Chairman, Mr. Chairman. I would, again, not like to see, I don't want to see this board fired. I'd like not to see anybody get let go or dismissed duties in anytime soon. Let's see if we can work things out and make them work better. I don't have a say-so. I don't. But if we can make this, we can make it work, y'all can make it work, we can move forward here. I put that out there.
basically no retaliatory actions based on what happened.
Let's don't Wesley it up.
Yeah, I mean, let's just sum it all, let's just call it like it is.
I'm sorry.
You know.
I would like to reiterate that point too, that, I would like not, no hasty decisions on employment or employees or anything right now till we work through this process.
Can I just add something?
Yes,
I feel
ma'am.
like I need
Please.
to clarify. Being asked about the total of our budget, I gave the total of our annual budget. We all know that that includes grants. It is certainly not ad valorem. I mean, anybody, I don't want to confuse the public. So anyone that doesn't know, I just wanted to clarify that that is including all grants and what we have in our budget
And
each year.
constitutionals
For
and
anyone who
everybody.
doesn't
Yeah.
know.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Nearly $1 million
clarifying
in
that.
grants that Mr. Erickson applied for today.
Yeah.
Correct.
Those numbers are included in that big
Always,
number.
yes.
Which are earmarked for
Yes.
things we
FEMA.
can't touch.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I mean, my phone about started ringing, getting my road paved. Heard that.
Okay,
Okay.
so no more discussion, we'll move to,
So- Mr. Randy, you got anything to add before?
I'm sorry, good.
I'm gonna work with whoever you designate me to. I am who I am, and I commit to everybody that out here, that's who I am, so,
Okay.
I am concerned about the employee. I do wanna state that again, and if that's an issue, then we need to take care of that.
I think we all feel the same way about that.
Okay,
Hopefully everybody understands.
all right, Madam Clerk?
We do have some things, so I promise it won't take long. I'm gonna let Risha go. She has found something she needed to address.
Okay,
We've already used 2026-01 as an ordinance number.
okay. And that was for the,
That's been so long ago. What was that?
It was, we used it in January.
that was on the burn ban ordinance?
Yes, sir.
The first burn ban ordinance?
So do you know which number it needs to be, Ms. Richards?
It would just need to be 02.
Okay, so,
When I send them to y'all, I'm gonna send them 2026-blank, and I will let y'all fill them in.
okay.
Okay.
But, for the purposes of today, the ordinance that we voted to advertise for, the burn ban ordinance, should be amended to 2026-02.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay. I just wanted to kind of give you guys some information on our budget for our office. We will be looking at doing an amendment in April. So March will be the first 6 months of our budget. Tax deeds have gone crazy. That we are 6 times the number of tax deeds as compared to last year's 6 months in our budget. So the processing cost, the employee, we've had to add, staff to be able to process all of this. Of course, the revenues are going to be increased also, so there won't be an ask for additional dollars. The revenues and the expenditures are gonna have to be amended. So I just wanted to kind of give you a heads up, know that that's coming. I wanted to wait until we were in the first 6 months so I could project the next 6 months, what we were looking at. but it's certainly gonna change. And, it's just been a dramatic change for our numbers, and I wanted to be, you know, as transparent as possible and go ahead and get this amended. So just know that that's coming, and we won't be asking for additional revenue. There's revenue to cover what we had to absorb in expenses. But I want it clear and correct. So, just wanted to let you know that's gonna be happening.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, to clarify, if you say tax deeds, the more you're talking about people that are requesting to buy
Put
tax
properties
deeds?
up for sale. And so,
There's more properties up for sale or more people wanting to buy those properties?
well, both. I mean, we get the certificates in our office, which creates a tax deed case. Then we have to set it for sale, then we hold the sales, then we process everything after the sales. But there are no properties on the list of lands anymore. Properties are just, being taken and very, very interested in. So, from October to February this year, we are at 240 cases. From October to February of last year, we had 41 cases.
Wow.
So, there's just no way around having to do the work, and, you know, the revenue is there, but we have certainly been overwhelmed with it. So, just FYI.
I just want to say a big thank you to the Honorable Bell's office and our staff for helping us. We've been looking at audits basically, and very helpful for all the 501s and the money that y'all give money to, just to make sure they're being spent, and we've asked for their audits, so we're working, I would say, well together to
Thank you.
get that. But thank you.
Right, anything else for the
I
clerk?
appreciate you taking care of that, man.
Mr. Attorney?
There's a lot.
Good answer.
Okay.
You sure you ain't got nothing? I'm gonna punch you in the throat.
Any other business? Seeing none, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second, third.
All in favor?